The Stormblood patch MSQ is such an improvement. It's insane. And no, this is not me just swiping in and saying, hey, here's the most improved reward. No, it is genuinely fantastic. The dungeons, the trials, the narrative, all of the great work here, no doubt is purchased at the cost of more slow, expansive pacing in 4.0 and just the issues that it has with its split focus. But thankfully, with all of these pieces set up on the board, they have been able to do marvelous things, and that is what we are going to talk about today. And also, The Pale Beyond, our video game. It is a single-player narrative RPG. It is developed by us, published by fellow Traveler, and you can check it out on Steam if you want some of that fun, frosty business and, well, big choice-based narrative. Check it out. Without further ado, let's go, though, and talk about Stormblood. 4.1. What a great patch. I mean, yeah, you know what? I liked how they just snapped us over to a more relaxed traditional adventure with the treasure hunt at the start. That was actually really good fun, and it was a nice way to bring us closer to Ironvault. Now, when the patch really kicks off, though, that's when it gets super fantastic. All of the Nanamo and Rauban work is just kind of beautiful. Actually, you feel it, right? And that's because of setup. Because that's something they began with the start of the game. It's something that exploded at the end of ARR and had a lot of time put into it during the ARR patch MSQ. Of course, it continued through to Heavensward, and its patch MSQ as well. So this commitment to telling a tale so consistently, it just pays dividends. Because by the end, the level of satisfaction that you get in these two characters, you know, they're almost anachronistic, they're so different, but it's just so satisfying at the end. You know, the scenes, the music, the starry night. I just love how they have confidence in their characters. Enough confidence to just let us spend time with their characters. Like with the Nanamo talking quests, you're just going around having a chat with Nanamo as, well, really, she sees a bit more of her land. But through that, you really see her grow and learn. Confront Lolorito. We learn more about her. I think many's an MMO would look at this kind of storyline and say, it's not action, doesn't involve slaying quest markers, this would be boring to our players. And no, it isn't. We actually care about these characters. We like these characters. The writing and all of that is good enough that we are content to see their story. Especially helps because our character really is a part of their story. We are so linked together. And it's because of all of this commitment and character that whenever Lakshmi is summoned, you're just there, you want to protect Rauban. It's as simple as that. And it's why the core of just at the end of this patch had me smiling so much. It wasn't the action as cool as it was. I mean, a bit of it just, Rauban's really cool and his voice acting is pretty incredible. I mean, you can just feel the weight that man carries. But it's that it is just so cathartic to see his journey unfold. So bravo to that. And as for Alamigo, more great plot and a little bit predictable with the twist. But it was a brilliant one and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot at stake. Lakshmi, also, I mean, near perfect. I think she's a really fun primal. Of course, we all, you know, it's that thing where you're suspicious of what's going on, but they manage to have the character dupe you all the same with summoning Lakshmi, and I guess that just worked out quite well. And it's impressive how much they keep on landing these little narrative surprises that, in retrospect, really shouldn't be surprising, but the way the specifics of how they unfold is surprising, even though you kind of know something's going to happen. And that Judy at the end, it was bloody brilliant. The core fight, I think, was good. It was quite engaging. Bringing in the Echo was great. All the Fordola character work finally coming in here was really great. And there was just a neat trick from the writers, you know, where they ask the player if you think her crimes are worthy of execution. And it would seem that by the laws of the land, in this sort of place, yeah, they are. But of course, immediately she is the one that ends up saving us, and in a believable way for her character. And that just works quite well. Another thing I really liked about that Judy was the NPCs got a bit more smart. I think, is it trusts or something? The future system in Shadow where like the NPCs can help you out in dungeons or something, but it seems like a very early version of that. And it really did make it feel like I was kind of fighting with Arnvold and co. It was really cool. Then as for Lise, people say they really hate Lise. And I totally get finding Lise to be quite annoying during the 4.0 MSQ. Some of her things are a bit repetitious, a little bit on the nose. I get that. I would say that at this stage, I think that both her and Nanamo growing into leadership was handled quite well and was quite enjoyable. So all this meant that 4.1 was a real big, just satisfying conclusion to the Alamigo plot thus far. I'll certainly say I would have liked to have seen more of Alamigo overall in Stormblood, just because I mean, come on, Alamigo was built up so much. But when I'm here at the conclusion of it, yeah, I'm feeling pretty damn good. Oh, of course, you know, there's a bit more to come. But first, we have to talk about 4.2 and 4.3. Well, right, we all love over-the-top classic villains, don't we? I mean, there's something about them that is just so much fun. And Asahi may not have the most depth in the world. He is an irredeemable, kin-slaying bastard who wants nothing more than basically his master's bathwater. I mean, he's such a thirsty boy for Xenos. And characters like him are risky, because they can be boring, right? But not so much here. And it's not because he's unpredictable. I mean, he does have a really great plan that's fun to follow. It's one of those classic ones where we know he's up to something, but we can't exactly pin exactly what he is going to do. So you're still asking questions right up until it all goes down. But it all just works with him because he's just so much fun in a real bastardy way. They show restraint with him right up to the very end of 4.2, right? Where, you know, you spend all of that time being like, this is too good to be true. I don't really believe these populares. What's exactly going on here? And then he finally has his mask off moment. I mean, I think we all remember the mask off moment at the end of 4.2. And I love how, even though the in-game models are so limited compared to, say, a cinematic, grade model, that would have a whole bunch of custom work, but even just the way they move the camera, the way they have his face, even with that more simple model, you do feel a little bit of the, oh right, he is actually legitimately crazy and probably in a way where he could actually hurt me. You get that feeling. That's really cool. Now amidst all this, of course, we have the return of Yotsuru and Gosetsu. And what a return it is. Because just bereft of memory and returned to this childlike state, we see a version of really what she could have been, right? One who's not tormented by her brother, by her parents, and I think it's exactly what she needed as a character. It's funny with her, I found, like, there's a few kind of surface-level similarities to, like, Avatar's Azula, right? But there's that difference where Yotsuru is never really anywhere close to as powerful as Azula is, so she has to be handled in a very different way. You sort of understand they've both had a pretty fucked up childhood that's led them to be the way that they are. But, you know, Yotsuru is never really as dangerous as, like, an Azula-type character. So the only way she can really manifest coping with her trauma is ordering others to do the horrible things. And I think that stripped of that, the tragedy of her character, when you see her in that more raw sort of, maybe a bit more close to how she'd sort of, come out of the oven, it does make the tragedy of her character a lot more clear and in a way that you can feel. Of course, because of Gosetsu. Because, well, we all kind of know why he needs her as well in his state, given his own past. It's a very unlikely pairing, but it's one that is very positive. And it's one that's a great way to have our cast of characters grapple a little bit with morality. And, well, how much does somebody's, choices define them? The whole thing about, the sin being erased along with their memory is just all really good narrative work, isn't it? And then, as it is expressed through gameplay, I mean, later on, the primal fight, I mean, could any of us forget that intermission phase? Like, no. Now, of course, Asahi is essentially an evil twat, sacrificing his own parents to draw the old Yotsuru out, orchestrating the summoning of a primal via her, one that, of course, he can then conveniently blame on the Domans, thus ending the peace treaty that he orchestrated, paving the way for a just war, and ruining the plan of the Populares. So it's all done quite nicely, isn't it? It is a neat plan, and as a fight, it's one of the best primals yet. Again, that intermission phase. It could have nothing else but that intermission phase, and, I mean, it would still be stellar. Now, I mean, look, at the end, at least she got a taste of what could have been, right? At least she felt like somebody kind of would care for her. Because through all of that hate, it's Gosetsu defending her as she fell to the primal in the intermission phase. It is such a strong moment. It's a strong moment on the character level, also experientially as a player. Because, you know, the music, the effects, just the way all of that goes down is just fucking perfection. It is what makes a boss fight truly memorable and engaging. Just incredible. Now, obviously, throughout all of this, the big man himself, Xenos, is looming large. And, man, as we go into 4.4 and 4.5, things get strange. So, Alphino is gone, going to Garlemald to try and work with the Populares to do good work and work out the issues of the summoning that's going on. Xenos, obviously, we find out, is back, and the Scions are in for a beating, and that means that 4.4, 4.5, and I guess 4.5.6, they are something. I mean, to kick it off, we actually play as Alphino in a duty. That was really cool. His whole involvement, too, was great. I mean, there's nothing like a twin in peril to make the other one come out of their shell and pull our heartstrings. And every time they've done that, it's bloody worked, hasn't it? These two patches are... they're all about the possibility of being invaded, and more importantly, the why of it. You know, the Garleans are evil is no surprise, but that they're actually an Ascian puppet empire ruled by the Ascian animated clones of the first emperor, I mean, that is quite something. Then Xenos, you know, finding out he's almost certainly an Ascian, probably Elidibus as well. I mean, that's all quite, you know, quite a big thing, isn't it? It's all very engaging. Now, what follows with these is just a duo of patches that's fantastic. I mean, a hint at Alag is fun. You know, as it goes back to Azazlai, and especially when you tie that into the Azim Steppe lore. Certainly a tricky one to do whenever you're rooting the very spiritual beliefs of a group of people that you care about into something that's a bit more technologically oriented, but I felt they actually did manage to pull it off. And the Azim Steppe, I mean, it was so much fun in 4.4. That duty was just great. Much of the initial questing in the steppe was slow, but it did build to the Nadam, which was immense. And once more in this patch, they have nailed doing a duty in the Azim Steppe. I mean, just fighting those characters is so much fun. The fight with her, when you're playing as your own character, is just great. I love how you beat her up, she gets back up again. She's having, like, the voice actor is having so much fun. And then, of course, you know, when it flips over, you're controlling your Stola as well. That's a load of fun. I mean, I'll definitely say that any of the times where you control, like, one of the Scions or Lord Hien later on, I wish they were a little more complex in their gameplay. I get why they did go simple, and at least for the fantasy, just controlling those characters and seeing their, you know, their little scenes play out, it does work for the story and it's engaging. I mean, also, I'll never get tired of Magnai being turned down because he's quite pathetic and it's kind of funny. Now, as we hit the end of 4.4, one thing came to mind for me. It was Matt talking about his research into Yoshida Uncensored, specifically Yoshi P's love of mystery novels. And of course, in and around now is when patch 3.4 is coming back to my mind, and I'm just kind of thinking, Warrior of Darkness, Shadowbringers, how the hell is this going to happen? And then, of course, there's this sense of doom happening as each Scion soul ends up getting ripped from their body, and you're trying to work out, well, who is this guy telling me to throw wide the gates? How would I even throw wide the gates if I wanted to? I mean, I love a mystery. FF14 keeps them coming. And even as the showdown with Emperor Varus happens, and you just realize how deep the Ascian problem is, you're just, again, thinking back to 3.4. What happens when light takes full control and basically, you know, a sun-bleached world with no life on it. And then, of course, we hear that these Ascians are trying to preserve the balance. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because if they want to summon back Lord Zodiac or something, I mean, that sounds like it's tipping into shadow, not exactly balanced. So what is going on? Or maybe are they just trying to balance the scales such that it only takes a tiny bit of weight to tip them over? I guess, maybe? These are all mysteries I'm pretty keen to find out. Especially, I just remember the Warrior of Darkness' story, all of that. But never mind that for now, because it's time for war. War as told through a dungeon. And you know, in this game so far, I've liked the dungeons, but often I've preferred the duties, the narrative duties, when it comes to telling the story of the game. And I mean, I think that's obvious enough, really, just because in the duties you tend to be questing with your cast of characters more. And what I loved with this dungeon is they actually blended them together, because I was there doing a 4-player dungeon, but the other characters were there, right? I just thought it was really cool. They made it feel like a war. This felt like a war zone or whatever, more so than any MMO dungeon that I've played. You're right there on the battlefield. And I mean, I love how so much of the fighting in this game, it ends up feeling a bit more like fantasy when it's Eorzea at time, right? Because it's Eorzea, everyone uses magic. Of course, the Guardians are not able to use magic, so they're using Magitech. And Magitech, in a way, it almost feels like this sort of, I don't know exactly how to say it, but that dungeon reminds you of like some super stylized World War I scenes, doesn't it? Like with the big trenches, the machine gun fire, just the stark red and black. I just thought it was a really evocative dungeon. Now, I can't say what it was like for endgame players at the time playing through it. All I can say is it was remarkable experientially how much this dungeon felt like the Shadowbringers trailer. And then, for me, I really did find that each boss was super fun. Didn't help that it was super late, and I had basically, for some back pain, popped a little bit of a painkiller that honestly just made me a little bit, which maybe added to the experience. But suffice to say, I was bloody immersed when I was doing that. So one epic dungeon later, and it's almost over. Only 2 quests to the damn finish. And what a finish it was. Every time the game says, sit down, we have got cinematics for you, you just kind of go, oh shit. And yeah, that happened. Because, of course, you get your cinematics, and then you get your showdown with Xenos. It's probably Elidibus, of course. And in that, the way they do it is so cool. Because using the role-playing duty, you're controlling Lord Hien at the start. And it was nice to see those characters together fighting. And the Warrior of Light not being there, right? And even with Lord Hien, he had like a little bit more to him in mechanics. At least he had the charge, so you could satisfyingly, charge back in. I thought that Xenos' mechanics, very simple, but also quite fun and enjoyable because they're quite movement-based. So I actually enjoyed that part. And you get this sort of looming sense of, oh shit, because, you have a little timer being like, Warrior of Light, it'll take her this long to get there. It makes your character feel powerful, and it also sells the peril of the actual characters that you are controlling. And then you get into the solo fight with Xenos, and it's just really fun. And I just want to say, I love how willing they are to give us real fights in duties. Now, I'd like to see what some of these would be in a super hard mode, or something like that. Or almost like if you can make a solo trial version of one of these, maybe that could be an interesting thing. But look, it sure does beat what I'm used to in WoW, which is I get to the end of a Covenant campaign thingy, and I just pop all my cooldowns, and the little mini-boss dies in, a few seconds. I got a proper fight with Xenos, and even if I wasn't in the most peril all the time, I was having to move away from his attack patterns. He didn't just have random, 3 attacks he threw out. They came in patterns, and you sort of felt like you had to deal with them. So I thought it was really strong. And as for the end, I can't wait to start Shadowbringers. Estinian saved my ass. Estinian, of course, did appear during the Stormblood MSQ as well, so he's a cool fella, and I wonder what's going to happen with him. Of course, meeting Count Edmund, lovely touch. Again, there's just a sense of, safety or something you get with that character because of the Heavensward time you spent together. But certainly it's going to be bloody hard to call what's going to happen next. I know a calamity is looming. I know I'm apparently supposed to throw wide the gates, but right now, all my friends' souls are lost. The Garleans still have the overall upper hand, it would seem. But for some reason, Varys and Xenos, Elidibus, whatever we're going to call them, they've been, they're back at Garlemald, right? So what's going on there? It's a bloody good thing that this patch originally came out only a few months before Shadowbringers. And that in itself is a fascinating thing to me as well. I'm so used to a, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 month gap between final patch and new expansion. I think it's really cool here how, maybe they just spread them out more, but it just kind of means it's like a big ongoing story again and again and again. I think that's just a strong thing for keeping you invested. I mean, even out a few months, it must have been a painful wait. And then there's the real Xenos, who's, seemingly possessed a resistance fighter or something. So we have double Xenos action. I mean, there's Xenos' original body being controlled by Elidibus, maybe? I think it's Elidibus. Then also there's Xenos, who's perhaps managed to, yoink the brain of a resistance fighter or something. I think I need Shadowbringers to start right the hell now. Okay, one or two other things then. The dungeons, I just want to again say, I can really feel the quality of these dungeons go up. I mean, I remember first it was the Hraesfylgr dungeon, where you're sort of fighting the trials, just before or you're passing his sort of tests before, he joins you to fight Nidhogg. And I thought that was a pretty damn cool dungeon. But as I've got to these, I mean, just the boss design feels really tight. And that's something I've noticed through Stormblood. I think the boss design's getting really, really, really good. So like they're really solid. And I'm really seeing what Matt was getting at when he was praising the fight design and all of that to me. Then as well, the RP duties, those are really strong. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Shadowbringers is able to use those, as well as like the trust system. And when I mix all those things together and I think about what I've now learned about Endwalker, it seems that in Endwalker, we're actually doing dungeons like with the Scions, like some massively upgraded version of the trust system. So the idea that I can have that dungeon experience, but actually narrative moments happening within the dungeon with the characters, that is just incredibly exciting. Now, undoubtedly, there's a lot that I haven't done. I still need to do Omega. I still need to do Alexander. There's other trials, primals that I haven't done as well. I'm very much MSQ focused because, I want to get to level 80, MSQ done before Endwalker, because I think it's, to be there launch night for the end of a 10-year story, I feel like that is a bit of a, sort of once-in-a-lifetime-ish event, and I really do want to be there. But man, it's almost fun to just see how much left there is to do. So, what a time. I think that the MSQ for Stormblood was cool, but had its issues, as I talked about in that video, but the patch MSQ is just fantastic. It is packed with incredibly strong character work. It has a lot of great mystery going on through it. It has great action. It has really great pacing. Basically, it just has it all, and it's a really good experience. So, what can I say? I mean, thank you to them for making this. I had a wonderful time. And, that's it for this video, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. If you'd like to do something to help us out, you can check out our game, The Pale Beyond. Not set in Earth, but very much inspired by the heroic age of Antarctic exploration, as told in a single-player narrative RPG. It's what our game team has been working on, full steam since around the start of this year, with a bit of pre-production before that. It's published by Fellow Traveler, and if you want to help us out, the Steam wishlist is, it is totally the best way to do that. And certainly, I am so happy that as we are moving into more of our content passes, that sort of stage of development in the game, I'm pretty happy that is just when I also happen to be playing a game like FF14, because, it's good to be more broadly read, right? It's good to see how they handle things, So, what a treat. Okay, well, you can check that out if you want to help us out. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Oh.